Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
Yeah, our building is literally like glowing pink out of the windows. It's kind of insane.
Welcome to Talk Farm to Me. I'm your host, Farm Girl. On Talk Farm to Me, the farmer takes center stage and we find out what they do and how they do it. And no matter how you spend your time, I'm pretty sure you have more in common with farmers than you think. So sit back and relax and I'll bring a farmer, and maybe a cow or two, right into your living room for a chat. On the day that I interviewed farmers Vincent Cuneo and Luke Snobeck, I pulled up to a funny little wooden building with an arched facade and roof. What was extraordinary about the building was not so much its shape, but the fact that a deep, humming fuchsia light emanated from its twin set of double French pane doors. Hot pink. The building is the headquarters of Agrarian Feast, a USDA Organic Microgreens farm set in the Catskills. Inside, millions of microgreen seedlings take hold and are sold locally and regionally to the best restaurants and grocers. The farm, which is 2.5 years old, has an interesting story to tell. One about life choices, about precision and ingenuity, about what's right, and about how the future could be different, better for all of us. So, come with me to the farm. Agrarian Feast. And before we get there, close your eyes for a moment and imagine the most intense pink color you can muster. You will hear the hum of the fans, the buzz of the lights, and if you listen carefully enough, you will hear the effort of each tiny seedling as it stretches to become a delicious little microgreen.
My name is Vincent Cuneo, and I was born in Corsica. I'm French.
I grew up in Minnesota.
I studied filmmaking in Paris.
Went to college there for painting.
I became a very specialized technician for film editing and film coloring, so it was part of special effects.
After I graduated college, I moved to Chicago. I landed a job as a bike messenger.
And I worked in advertisement in Paris for that, mostly TV and advertisement.
And then after that, I had a couple of friends that started a small brewery, and they hired me on to do their graphics and illustrations. So I did beer labels and marketing for them for 5 years.
That didn't really work out too well for me. I didn't like it, but I worked in it for years, and it was just very frustrating. I found it very meaningless. I think I went to film school because I love grand old cinema, and then I ended up working on crappy advertisements, doing some computer work on it, and it was just abominable. I met my wife, who is American, when I was in Paris, and I worked for her for years in New York City. She's an artist, so I helped her on the production, fabrication, computer work. Like, I was kind of the assistant. She says the muse, but I said the assistant. I had this idea of starting a farm. I wanted to pick something that would be the spearhead to build a bigger and more diverse farm. This farm is a lifestyle choice to live on a piece of land and try to take care of it it was a really needed change of direction in our life. Just building something long term and doing something that is in accord to our own values. I think that's really what was the drive for me, because my frustration in the field of filmmaking and art came from just settling for something that I found was kind of pathetic. I needed a real change. I've never worked on a farm. I've never known a farmer. So I spent a lot of time actually researching before we started this, and I started small-scale projects of a few different things. So I grew quails for eggs and meat, and I grew mushrooms on logs in my woods, and I started a small greenhouse on in my garden for microgreens. I did find some mentors on the internet. One of them is Curtis Stone, and he was very, very successful as a market gardener, but also as an educator.
Today, I'm going to show you guys how to transplant the easy way, the simple way, the old school way. Nothing special here as far as technology, just basic transplanting with minimal tools. That's coming up next on The Urban Farmer.
And I hope you will visit one day here. Another very important person for me is Jean-Martin Fortier. He's very business-oriented, like I am. For him, it's always been about building a successful company as well as building the best farm.
It's important for me to teach the technical knowledge that I have, that I've gained through all these years. That's one thing. But the other, and perhaps the most important, is, farming is hard work. We put a lot of hours. It's a big dedication of our time to do this every day, day in, day out. And, for me, from my perspective, the only way that I've been able to keep a balanced life is to have good techniques and good methods that make me really efficient.
And this is really where I find a lot of inspiration.
After countless hours with Curtis and Jean-Martin on YouTube, it was time for Vincent and Luke, who are brothers-in-law and now partners, to test their knowledge on the farm and with customers.
I designed a microgreen package of a few ounces with a label, and I showed up in random grocery stores in New York City, and I told them that I was a farmer, which was not true. And I told them that I was going to sell them microgreens, which was half true. And it worked. I
think we had maybe 6 shelves in here to start with, and then we just added more shelves as we got more accounts and just grew organically like that. No pun intended.
While some things were easy, others were terribly challenging.
I didn't know it would be so awful for the money for the first 2 years. I thought we could be able to make it the second year pretty well, but the second year was really pretty terrible too. It's not that hard to grow bad microgreens, but it's really hard to grow them well. We were growing bad microgreens for the whole first year, really just struggling with the technique and the knowledge that is required to do it consistently well.
It's called the circle of death because they just keep getting like bigger and bigger circle, just dying into each other, and then the tray is pretty much ruined.
Yeah, the first year we had a lot of bad sunflowers and bad pea shoots, and it was very frustrating because it feels like wasting resources. We're planting those seeds and then we have those awful results. Instead of getting 1 pound of sunflower, you get a half pound. We just had to figure it out. This setup is kind of unique, so we had to discover how it would function.
We had a lot of failed crops that we tried. I think we got it a little more figured out now.
There are lots of different tricks: the germination and the seed density and the humidity level, the temperature, the amount of light.
Besides steeping themselves in all of the information they could find on YouTube, as well as 2 years of trial and error, Vincent and Luke applied themselves to innovating pretty much everything they did on the farm. They converted an old building into a grow house. The grow lights, which were adapted from lights used to grow cannabis, emit only the red and blue parts of the spectrum, the only light that plants really need to grow. Instead of the expensive versions that existed, they altered the electricity of some of the shop lights to make not only the mechanism, but the cost to run them full-time much less expensive. They jerry-rigged various other mechanisms as well to convert an old shed into a walk-in cooler, to transform a truck into a refrigerated vehicle, and even work closely with seed providers to create sunflower microgreens that had never really been done this way before.
The most high-tech thing that we use is our soil. It's designed and crafted by Carl Hammer from Vermont Compost Company, which is, in my opinion, the best soil maker in the world. They send us soil that is just perfect every time. So the plants are extremely happy in it, and we just have to add water.
I was super curious about the magic soil and its creator, so I called Carl Hammer in Montpelier, Vermont, to find out what he does and how he does it. I got a lot more than I bargained for. Carl is a farmer, but at heart, he's a real philosopher.
Our farming process includes laying hens. So we have a flock of right now about 800 hens, and we feed them on a blend of uneaten community human food, manure, cattle manure, equine manure from our own herd of donkeys and mules and farm stables. We use forest materials, bark. We use spoiled crops and field materials, hay, haylage. And we blend all those things and use that as a feed for these birds. Birds forage and add their own contribution. And we compost the material that after they've had their opportunity to forage on it. And we make composts, and we take those composts and we blend them with other materials to make whole soil media for organic growers.
Here he paraphrases a 5,000-year-old Vedic philosophy, one that he believes wholeheartedly.
This handful of soil, husband it, and it will feed you, it will clothe you, it will house you and surround you with beauty. Abuse it, and it will collapse and die, taking humanity with it.
The real key to Vincent and Luke's success, besides the innovation and the selection of top-quality seeds and soil, is their attention to detail, their commitment to a tested routine, and their Swiss watch-like precision in all that they do.
The days here, it's basically either a harvest day or a do everything else day.
We have 300 trays right now.
And we take a tray that's pre-filled with soil, press down so it's nice and flat. We water it before you seed it.
There's a chart on the wall which is how many grams of seeds we need per 10 by 20 flat. We have a precise measurement, and we know we always use this amount.
We stack the trays just 3 high, and then put a flat tray on top of that, and 2 bricks on top of that to kind of make good soil contact with the seed and to keep the humidity in.
So they will all germinate. Each individual seed becomes a tiny yellow seedling. And once they are put under the lamps, they will grow and be watered daily for between 7 and 15 days. And they grow at the same time, and they are cut when they're a week old.
We aim to get 7 to 8 clamshells per tray. Vincent and I hand cut and pack each clamshell.
We need to have the cleanest, most well-organized packages of greens.
Put a Best By date on it, fill up a box and bring it to the walk-in cooler.
We have a driver who drives there twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. He leaves at 4:30, does all the stops. He's back by 12.
While they take their routine very seriously, it's easy to joke about their little glowing greenhouse in the middle of nowhere, down a long country road, just 2.5 hours outside of New York City. I'm surprised that the police haven't been more inquisitive. They do get quite a few raised eyebrows, besides mine.
Yeah, our building is literally like glowing pink out of the windows. It's kind of insane.
Pretty much every FedEx and UPS delivery to the farm results in a question about what they are growing under those pink lights.
Microgreens, that's all.
With their artist training evident in the work that they do on the farm, you should see how beautiful each microgreens package is. Vincent and Luke are pressing ahead with plans for the farm's future. Their partnership, a combination of steady day-to-day operations and also pushing the envelope.
So we plan to, hopefully next year, start construction for a new building, more or less triple our capacity from where we're at right now. And then with that, we'd have about 4 or 5 more employees also, and just more microgreens. So I think there's a lot of room for expansion and sales, especially because we haven't even tried any other states. I think the market can support it.
I had never wanted to just do microgreens. That was never the plan. I think we could do more. We have land here, and we have this as a very solid base to create a bigger farm. We could do more microgreens, and we can do other things. I'm really interested in vegetables and trees and fruits and mushrooms. Control environment is also a thing that is possible, but I don't think this stops here with the microgreens.
As young farmers, ones who use the internet to make their way, they know that what they are doing is an example to others and that it fits into an important bigger picture.
And it's urgent that we re-agrarianize. We urgently need younger folks to be farming, and farming well, and of course making a living at it.
It is absolutely part of my values to be able to start a company and provide really good paying jobs that are meaningful. And from my past experience, I know that there are a lot of meaningless jobs around. You know, we have a few employees already, and I think they really appreciate working here.
From a social point of view, with 330 million people in the United States, for instance, less than 0.6% of the labor force is actively harvesting sunshine for sustenance.
But there's no way to solve that without a generation of young farmers. We have here a little bit on the East Coast because it's kind of cool or whatever.
They are, of course, overall an incredibly earnest, motivated crowd, driven, creative. Yeah, it's hard to decide you want to be a farmer now in America and make it work at all. A way is being found, and more must be.
If we can do organic farming and also hire people and pay them correctly, I think it would go a long way.
Vincent and Luke have worked hard. What they know, they share, much like their mentors. And their transitions from artists to farmers have left them humbled, grateful, and encouraging of others.
Just go do it. There's not much to lose and a lot to gain, and it's fairly easy to figure out. There's a pretty supportive community. If you have questions, a lot of people are willing to help, and yeah, I started with knowing nothing about microgreens, and now I know a lot.
It's been great to have you along for this episode of Talk Farm to Me. Special thanks always to our farmers for talking farm and doing what they do best. For more information about this episode, including a look behind the scenes, head on over to talkfarmtome.com. This season's music is by Lobo Loco, and the animal sounds come mainly from my funny little farm. You can find more episodes as they come out on talkfarmtome.com or subscribe to the whole season wherever you get your podcasts. Either way, please share your feedback right on the website or give us some love on iTunes. I'm your host, Farm Girl. Stay tuned for a new episode every 2 weeks when I bring a new farmer and maybe a cow or two right into your living room for a chat.
At Rural First, we're the leader in rural construction loans because we don't work here. We work out here. We live rural, which means we know just what you need to build rural. Our dedicated team of loan specialists works with you throughout the construction process. And with our digital tool, you can manage your project all in one place. That's how Rural First gets you closer to what matters. Rural First is a registered trademark of Farm Credit Mid-America, NMLS 407249, Equal Housing Lender. Loan subject to approval and eligibility. Other terms and conditions may apply. Visit ruralfirst.com for more details.